What if you discovered that a lush, productive vegetable garden is possible even without a backyard? No digging, no heavy tools, no sprawling plots of land. Just a handful of containers, quality soil, and the right plant choices. This is the beauty of container gardening. With it, even a small balcony, patio, rooftop, or bright windowsill can be transformed into a thriving source of fresh food. Even better, many vegetables don't just tolerate containers. They actually perform better in them. Fewer soil-borne pests, easier moisture control, and the ability to position plants exactly where sunlight is strongest all work in your favor. Container gardening removes many of the traditional barriers to growing food, making it one of the most accessible ways to garden anywhere in the world. Today, we're exploring 7 vegetables that truly shine in containers. Beginner-friendly, reliable, and rewarding. Let's get started. 1. Tomatoes. The undisputed star of container gardens. Few vegetables capture the joy of home gardening quite like tomatoes. Freshly picked tomatoes deliver an intensity of flavor that store-bought varieties simply can't match. Rich sweetness, balanced acidity, and that unmistakable taste of sunshine. Once you've tasted a tomato straight from the plant, it's hard to go back. The great news is that tomatoes don't require a large garden to thrive. They adapt beautifully to container life, making them perfect for balconies, patios, decks, and even sunny indoor spaces. In fact, growing tomatoes in containers gives you a surprising advantage: complete control. You decide the soil quality, watering schedule, drainage, and sunlight exposure, all of which tomatoes care deeply about. Choosing the right varieties. Not every tomato variety is suited for container growing. Indeterminate tomatoes grow continuously and can become massive vines, which makes them difficult to manage in pots. Instead, choose determinate or bush-style varieties. These tomatoes grow to a defined size, focus their energy on fruit production, and stay compact enough for containers. Excellent container-friendly options include Patio Princess, Tiny Tim, Better Bush, and Roma. These varieties are bred specifically for smaller spaces and still deliver impressive yields, even when grown in limited soil volume. Setting up the container. Tomatoes need room for their roots, so container size matters. A minimum of a 5-gallon pot per plant is recommended, though larger containers offer even better moisture stability and root development. Deeper pots are especially beneficial, as tomatoes naturally form extensive root systems. Proper drainage is essential. Make sure your container has multiple drainage holes to prevent water from pooling at the bottom, which can lead to root rot. Use a high-quality potting mix rather than garden soil. Potting mix is lighter, drains better, and allows roots to breathe. Before planting, enrich the mix with compost and a slow-release organic fertilizer. This provides a steady nutrient supply during the early growth stages, setting the plant up for long-term success. Sunlight and watering needs. Tomatoes are sun lovers. They need at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight each day to produce well. If you're growing indoors or in a partially shaded location, supplemental grow lights can make a huge difference. Position the lights close to the plants and run them for 12 to 14 hours daily for best results. Watering should be consistent and deep. The soil should remain evenly moist but never waterlogged. Containers dry out faster than garden beds, so regular monitoring is important. Self-watering pots or a thick layer of mulch on top of the soil can help maintain stable moisture levels and reduce stress on the plant. Ongoing care and maintenance. As your tomato plant grows, remove the lower leaves to improve airflow and reduce the risk of fungal diseases. Installing a stake or small cage early will help support the plant and prevent branches from breaking once fruit develops. For a smart companion planting option, consider adding basil to the same container. Basil complements tomatoes both in the kitchen and in the garden. It can enhance flavor and help deter pests naturally. By the height of summer, your container-grown tomato plant can reward you with clusters of warm, ripe fruit ready for harvest. Slice one fresh, sprinkle with a pinch of salt, and enjoy the unmistakable taste of homegrown abundance. No backyard required. 2. Peppers, bright, space-saving, and highly rewarding. Peppers are one of the most eye-catching and satisfying vegetables you can grow in containers. With their glossy leaves and rainbow of fruits, deep green bell peppers, sunny yellow bananas, fiery red chilies, they add both beauty and bold flavor to balconies, patios, and even sunny indoor spaces. Best of all, peppers are naturally compact plants, making them perfectly suited to container gardening. Best varieties for containers. When space is limited, choosing the right variety makes all the difference. Compact or dwarf pepper varieties perform best in pots because they focus their energy on fruit production rather than excessive leafy growth. Excellent container-friendly options include Gypsy, Baby Bell, Redskin, Jalapeno M, and Hot Portugal. These peppers stay manageable in size while still producing impressively heavy harvests. Container. Setup. A container between 3 and 5 gallons is ideal for one pepper plant. Make sure it has plenty of drainage holes. Peppers dislike sitting in wet soil. Terracotta pots work well because they allow airflow to the roots, though they dry out faster than plastic containers, so they may require more frequent watering. Use a light, well-aerated potting mix enriched with compost to provide both nutrients and proper drainage. When planting, set the pepper slightly deeper than it was in its nursery pot to encourage stronger root development. Sunlight and warmth. Peppers thrive in warmth and light. Aim for at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight daily. In cooler climates, placing containers near a sunny wall or reflective surface can help capture extra heat and light. Night temperatures between 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 to 21 degrees Celsius are ideal for fruit formation. If temperatures drop, move containers indoors or provide protection to prevent flower drop. Watering and care. Consistent moisture is key. Water peppers when the top inch of soil feels dry, but avoid overwatering. Mulching the soil surface helps retain moisture and keeps roots insulated. If growing peppers indoors, gently shaking the plant or tapping the blossoms can improve pollination. Removing the first few flowers can also help the plant establish stronger roots before focusing on fruit production. Harvest and enjoyment. Peppers can be harvested at different stages depending on flavor preference. Pick them green for a milder taste or let them ripen to red, orange, or yellow for increased sweetness. Hot pepper varieties become spicier as they mature. A single healthy pepper plant in a 5-gallon container can easily produce dozens of fruits, transforming even the smallest patio into a vibrant, edible showcase. 3. Lettuce and salad greens. Fast harvest, instant rewards. If you want results quickly, lettuce and salad greens are hard to beat. They're some of the most beginner-friendly crops you can grow in containers, and they reward you fast. From seed to plate, it often takes just a few weeks before you're harvesting fresh, crisp leaves right outside your door. Leafy greens are perfectly suited for container life because they have shallow root systems. They don't need deep soil or large pots to thrive, and they grow well in small spaces where other vegetables struggle. A balcony, patio, windowsill, or even a repurposed container can become a mini salad garden with very little effort. Another big advantage is temperature tolerance. Lettuce and most salad greens prefer cooler conditions, making them ideal for spring, fall, or shaded urban spaces where full sun isn't always available. Varieties to grow. For the best experience, grow a mix rather than just one type. Buttercrunch produces soft, tender leaves with a mild flavor. Romaine adds crunch and structure to salads. Red leaf lettuce brings color and visual interest to your container garden. For maximum convenience, choose a Meslin or cut and come again mix. These blends contain multiple types of baby greens that regrow after harvesting, giving you a constantly renewing salad bowl. You can also include spinach, arugula, kale, or Swiss chard. These greens grow just as well in containers and add extra nutrition and flavor variety. Sunlight and container choice. Lettuce doesn't need intense sunlight. 4 to 6 hours of direct sun per day is plenty, which makes it ideal for partially shaded balconies or north-facing windows. Choose a wide, shallow container about 6 to 8 inches deep. Lettuce roots spread outward rather than downward, so width matters more than depth. Make sure the container drains well and fill it with loose, nutrient-rich soil mixed with compost. Watering and feeding. Consistent moisture is key. Lettuce prefers evenly damp soil, not dry and not waterlogged. If the soil dries out too much, the leaves can turn bitter. Water gently, especially during warm weather, ideally in the morning or evening. To keep growth steady and leaves tender, feed with diluted compost tea or an organic liquid fertilizer every 2 weeks. Harvesting method. Instead of pulling the plants out, harvest lettuce the smart way. Cut the outer leaves first and leave the center intact. This allows the plant to keep growing and producing new leaves for weeks. With proper care, one planting can provide multiple harvests over a month or more. For an added bonus, grow herbs like parsley, dill, or chives in the same container. These herbs help deter pests and give you fresh additions for salads and dressings. With just a few containers and minimal effort, lettuce and salad greens can give you fresh food on demand. It's one of the easiest, fastest, and most satisfying ways to start container gardening. 4. Potatoes. The hidden harvest crop. If lettuce delivers quick gratification, potatoes offer something far more exciting. Surprise! The real magic of growing potatoes happens entirely out of sight. While the plant grows above ground, the true reward is forming silently below the soil. And when harvest day finally arrives, uncovering what's hidden beneath feels like discovering buried treasure. Yes, potatoes grow exceptionally well in containers, and in many cases, this method is even more efficient than traditional garden planting. For anyone short on space, container-grown potatoes are both practical and incredibly satisfying. Getting started. Potatoes don't require fancy equipment. A deep container is far more important than a wide one. Grow bags, large pots, or even a standard 5-gallon bucket will work perfectly, as long as there are drainage holes at the bottom. Aim for a depth of at least 12 to 16 inches, so tubers have room to develop. Always start with certified seed potatoes. Avoid grocery store potatoes, which are often treated to prevent sprouting and may carry disease. Seed potatoes are specifically grown for planting and ensure healthier, more reliable harvests. If your seed potatoes are large, cut them into sections, making sure each piece has at least one visible eye. Allow the cut pieces to dry for a day before planting. This helps prevent rot once they're in the soil. Planting and growing. Begin by adding about 4 inches of loose, nutrient-rich soil to the bottom of your container. Place the seed potatoes on top with the eyes facing upward, then cover them with another 4 inches of soil. As the plants grow taller, you'll gradually add more soil around the stems, a process known as hilling. This encourages additional tubers to form along the buried portions of the stem, dramatically increasing your yield. Repeat this process 2 or 3 times as the plant grows. By the time the container is full, you'll have a vertical column of soil packed with developing potatoes waiting below. Watering and feeding. Potatoes prefer evenly moist soil but are sensitive to excess water. Overwatering can lead to rot, so allow the top inch of soil to dry out before watering again. Depending on weather conditions, this usually means watering 2 to 3 times per week. Feed plants with compost tea or a balanced organic fertilizer that's higher in potassium and phosphorus. Avoid fertilizers high in nitrogen, which encourage leafy growth at the expense of tuber formation. Sunlight and temperature. Place your container where it receives 6 to 8 hours of sunlight daily. Potatoes like sunlight above ground, but prefer cooler temperatures around their roots. In hot climates, partial afternoon shade or wrapping containers with burlap can help prevent overheating. Harvest time. When potato plants begin to flower, you can gently harvest a few small new potatoes if you like. For a full harvest, wait until the foliage yellows and dies back completely. Stop watering for about 2 weeks to allow the skins to firm up. Then, when the time comes, tip the container onto a tarp or garden bed and sift through the soil. Digging up freshly grown potatoes, golden, red, or even purple, feels like a grown-up treasure hunt. A single 5-gallon container can produce 3 to 5 pounds of potatoes and sometimes even more with good care. Once you taste potatoes harvested fresh from your own soil, store-bought versions lose their appeal. The flavor, texture, and satisfaction are unmatched. This is what real, homegrown food is all about. 5. Carrots and root vegetables, the hidden underground treasures. When people imagine container gardening, they often picture leafy greens or compact tomato plants. But one of gardening's best-kept secrets is this. Some of the most rewarding container crops grow entirely underground. Carrots, beets, and radishes quietly mature beneath the soil, revealing their beauty only at harvest time. Once you taste freshly pulled carrots, you'll never see grocery store versions the same way again. Why root crops excel in containers. Root vegetables thrive in containers because they crave loose, deep, rock-free soil, exactly what containers provide. With no stones, compaction, or competing weeds, roots grow straight, smooth, and strong. They also don't require sprawling space or pollinators, making them perfect for patios, balconies, and small urban gardens. Choosing containers and soil. Depth is essential. Carrots and beets need at least 10 to 12 inches of soil, while radishes require about 6 to 8 inches. Fabric grow bags, deep planters, or repurposed bins work well, as long as drainage holes are present. Use a lightweight potting mix blended with compost. Adding sand or perlite improves drainage and airflow. Avoid heavy garden soil, which can lead to twisted or stunted roots. Planting and care. Always sow root vegetable seeds directly into the container, as they don't tolerate transplanting. Plant seeds about 1/4 inch deep and keep the soil evenly moist until germination, which may take up to 2 weeks. Once seedlings emerge, thin them carefully. Though it's tempting to leave them all, overcrowding is the main reason roots grow small or misshapen. Best varieties for containers. Compact carrot varieties like Paris Market, Thumbelina, and Littlefinger are ideal. Radishes mature in just 3 to 4 weeks, making them perfect for quick harvests or beginner gardeners. Beets take longer but provide both edible roots and nutritious greens. Watering and harvesting. Consistent moisture is critical. Dry soil leads to woody or bitter roots. Water gently and regularly to avoid disturbing developing vegetables. Radishes are ready once they reach full size. Harvest promptly to prevent pithiness. Carrots and beets are ready when their shoulders push above the soil surface. Pull them gently, rinse off the soil, and admire your vibrant harvest. The taste of freshly grown root vegetables is crisp, sweet, and incomparable. Root crops remind us that the most meaningful growth often happens quietly beneath the surface. 6. Bush beans, the compact protein powerhouse. Now let's turn our attention above ground to one of the easiest and most productive container crops available, bush beans. If you've ever wanted to grow your own protein-rich food without a large garden, bush beans are the perfect solution. They're compact, fast-growing, and incredibly generous producers. Why bush beans shine? In containers, unlike pole beans that require tall supports, bush beans remain compact and tidy, usually staying under 2 feet tall. This makes them ideal for patios, balconies, and small garden spaces. They mature quickly, often in just 50 to 60 days, and continue producing as long as you harvest regularly. Container setup. Choose a container at least 12 to 14 inches deep with excellent drainage. Beans dislike soggy soil, so drainage holes are essential. Fill the pot with nutrient-rich potting mix blended with compost. Avoid excessive fertilization. Too much nitrogen encourages leaves instead of pods. Plant seeds about 1 inch deep and spaced 3 inches apart. Beans germinate quickly, often within a week, and don't need indoor starting. Sunlight and watering. Bush beans thrive in full sun and need 6 to 8 hours of light daily. Water deeply once or twice per week, ensuring the soil stays moist but not saturated. Consistency matters. Irregular watering can cause flowers or pods to drop. Mulching helps retain moisture and keep roots cool, especially in warm climates. Pollination and yield. Bush beans are self-pollinating, though bees and wind can boost yields. After flowering, pods form quickly and are ready to harvest in about a week. Pick beans often. Frequent harvesting signals the plant to keep producing. Best varieties. Container-friendly varieties include Provider, Bush Blue Lake, and Contender. For added color, try yellow wax beans or purple varieties, which are equally easy to grow. Bonus benefit: natural fertilizer. Beans naturally enrich the soil by fixing nitrogen. When plants finish producing, cut them at the base instead of pulling them out. As the roots decompose, they release nitrogen back into the soil, feeding future crops. The harvest moment. Harvest pods every few days, enjoying that satisfying snap as they break free. Fresh beans are tender, sweet, and bursting with flavor, nothing like store-bought versions. For gardeners seeking high yields with minimal effort, bush beans offer an unbeatable combination of nutrition, productivity, and satisfaction.